there, curious minds! Welcome back to Somatic Whisper, where we unravel the secrets of our everyday lives in a fun and fascinating way. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects all of us: the power of the chair. Yes, you heard that right. This seemingly simple object has a much bigger role in our lives than you might think. Did you know that humanity evolved by standing tall? Yet now we spend more time sitting than ever before. Crazy, right? Most of us clock in a whopping 8 to 10 hours a day, plopped down in our comfy chairs. That's like a third of our lives just sitting. And believe it or not, this posture isn't just about comfort. It shapes our muscles, our bones, and even how we see the world around us. Let's take a quick trip back in time. Chairs didn't always have the VIP status they enjoy today. Back in ancient Egypt, only the elite got to sit on thrones that symbolized power. Fast forward to the Ming Dynasty in China, and we see chairs as symbols of refinement and social status. Most folks were sitting low on mats or stools. But by the 17th century, with the rise of the middle class in Europe, chairs became the new norm. No longer just for the nobles, teachers, clerks, and students were joining the sitting revolution. As chairs became commonplace, so did the ideas of proper posture and politeness. Suddenly, sitting wasn't just about comfort. It became a symbol of discipline. The Industrial Revolution took this to a whole new level with mass-produced chairs lining factories, offices, and schools. Picture rows of people, all neatly aligned and quietly controlled. Sitting turned into the ultimate productivity hack. Sociologist Norbert Elias had a cool take on this. He believed civilization is all about controlling the body. It was one of the main tools of this control. We learned to sit still, suppress our natural movements, and just be still. Sounds a bit like a scene from a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? And then came the Enlightenment. Descartes famously declared, "I think, therefore I am elevating the mind and reducing the body to just a vessel." This mindset spread like wildfire into our daily lives, especially with the rise of industrial capitalism. Factories, schools, and armies all adopted the same spatial logic. Think rows and lines, where stillness meant order and movement. Well, that was chaos. Michel Foucault even coined the term microphysics, tonge, of power to describe how power operates through organizing bodies in space. School desks, factory benches, office cubicles, they're all part of this choreography of control. And let's not forget Pierre Bourdieu's idea of habit, those invisible social codes that dictate how we sit, walk, or take up space. Ever notice how a child learns to sit still in class? Or how a worker knows to bend without a fuss? These rules aren't taught in a textbook. They're learned through repetition and observation. So, next time you sink into your chair, remember, this isn't just about comfort. It's about how we've been shaped, literally, by the way we sit. But here's a twist. How did we end up living so far from the ground? Today, most of us spend our lives suspended above it, on chairs, beds, cars, office floors, elevators. Modern architecture keeps the body lifted, level after level, into glass towers and glowing screens. Somewhere along the way, we lost touch with the soil beneath our feet. Anthropologists remind us that in many regions, from Japan to Anatolia, people traditionally sat cross-legged on the ground, often in circles. It wasn't just a way to rest. It was a way to be together. Sitting close to the earth brought eye-level conversation, shared meals, and decisions made without anyone literally above anyone else. New thrones, less hierarchy, more connection. And there's a body story here too. When you sit on the ground, the hips open. The spine can follow its natural curve. The ankles and knees regain range, and the breath tends to deepen. Posture stops being a rigid rule and turns into a conversation with gravity. Ground contact doesn't just change how we sit, it changes how we feel, listen, and relate. As cities climbed upward, This grounded awareness slowly faded. The higher we live and work, the less we feel the earth, and the more our bodies forget where they came from. Stillness began to mean order, and movement began to look like distraction. Rows of desks, rows of deadlines, rows of notifications, all perfectly aligned and quietly disembodied. But maybe the problem isn't the chair itself. Maybe it's that we've stopped feeling where we sit. We outsource motion to machines and attention to screens. We scroll instead of walk, text instead of talk, Zoom instead of gather. Our hands type more than they touch. Even our breaks happen in front of digital light. It's no wonder the body feels like background noise. We've become a civilization of floating heads, thinking, producing, posting, but rarely inhabiting ourselves. Here's the cool part. Neuroscience actually backs this up. Studies on embodied cognition show that the mind isn't separate from the body. They're in constant dialogue. When you move, your brain fires differently. When you breathe slowly, your thoughts calm down. When you feel the ground, your nervous system finally says, I'm safe. So maybe sitting close to the earth isn't nostalgic. Maybe it's neural hygiene, the body's own way of rebooting its connection with the world. Imagine an office redesigned around movement and floor-level space. Meetings that start with a minute of grounding. Work zones with cushions and mats instead of endless chairs. People brainstorming while shifting positions, breathing, gesturing, even lying down to think. It sounds radical, but so did working from home once upon a time. As we wrap up our exploration of the fascinating world of chairs and the intricate dance of our sitting habits, it becomes clear that what may seem like a mundane act is steeped in layers of cultural significance. The chair is not merely a piece of furniture. It's a stage where societal norms and power dynamics play out in real time. From the poised posture of a student to the commanding presence of a CEO, each position we adopt tells a story, one that reflects our identities, our histories, and our relationships with authority. Those Victorian handbooks. They weren't just about etiquette. They were blueprints for power, subtly shaping how men and women occupied space and, by extension, their roles in society. But here's the real takeaway. While we may have inherited these codes, we also hold the power to rewrite them. The way we choose to sit in rigid rows or inviting circles can transform our interactions and redefine our connections. Imagine if we embraced a more fluid approach to our body language, shifting from a mindset of pose to one of presence. Our bodies are living archives, capable of change. Every time we pull up a chair, we're not just finding a place to rest. We're participating in a choreography that can either reinforce the status quo or challenge it. So, the next time you take a seat, consider this: how can you make that moment a reflection of who you truly are? In the end, it's about more than just comfort, it's about connection, agency, and the quiet power of our posture in shaping the world around us. Let's redefine how we sit, and in doing so, reshape the narratives that define us. Every generation redefines and reinterprets what it means to call a thing normal. Maybe the generation that's coming will remember what it feels like to be grounded directly and emotionally. And who knows, the next evolution of design isn't going to be about building even taller. Instead, it'll be about creating spaces that invite stillness and movement, parks that double as open studios, libraries where you can get lost in the pages, cafes with comfy cushions instead of actual chairs, classrooms where the focus is not on discipline but on exploration. These spaces we create don't just represent the values we live by, but they also mirror and reflect ourselves. Nowadays, most of our spaces are designed with screens in mind, not with our bodies in mind. But we could redefine that very thing: one deep breath, one extra seat, or even one circle at a time. because sitting isn't just a basic position, it's a way to connect with the world and each other. When we reintroduce a layer of ground contact, we don't just focus on fixing posture, we also rediscover a layer of awareness that modern life often forgets. We learn that the body isn't a problem to be dealt with. It's a place that offers opportunities to meet, connect, and engage with ourselves and others. So, the next chapter of our modern lives isn't about climbing a few more floors, but returning toward the soil, returning toward circles, returning toward a way of life that breathes. This is what we propose as Somatic Whisper, a journey to the connection our bodies once shared before, and bringing this reconnection back into how we work, gather, and inhabit these spaces. If this idea resonated with you at all, don't hesitate to stay with us. Sometimes, all it takes is one little breath, one extra seat, or even one circle to bring a little bit of grounding and reawareness into our lives.